now I lost my place. Okay. They were all good. Okay. A sudden change would have unnerved them and would have been entirely out of character. The parents all agreed that should something have gone awry, the five friends would have stuck together, supporting one another as best they could, and would certainly not have abandoned each other if at all possible. However, later evidence would suggest that they had done just that. Two of them could drive. All had held down menial jobs at some point. Another one would have reneged on the upcoming getaway Garrett's match. Their parents were understandably terrified, and when they didn't show in the time for the big game, the local police were called and an investigation was launched. Sunday and Monday dragged by analogies slowly, but on Tuesday, Jack, pride and joy, his Mercedes was discovered. Oh boy. Okay. I don't know how I feel about this case. Okay, let's continue. High up in the Soviet Nevada mountains above the Father River, a search team located the car in a small drift just beyond Elk Retreat. The wheels had appeared to have spun in the snow, but the car was not stuck and could easily have been pushed backwards onto the dirt path. The floor and seats were littered with rubbish. What is rubbish? Oh, trash. Chocolate bar wrappings, lemon and cherry pie boxes, a carton of milk, and some empty Pepsi bottles. Men had clearly eaten their celebratory feast before leaving the vehicle. But why leave it at all? The petrol tank was at least 1/4 full, and the car itself was not stuck. Although the keys were missing, the police had no problem in hot riding it and starting it up. And there's nothing wrong with the vehicle at all. In fact, it was suspiciously undamaged. The man must have traveled up the unmarked track in dangerous conditions and somehow avoided every single bump and rut. The car was not designed for such training, and yet it had survived the journey unscratched. Police decided that whoever had driven the car must have known the road like the back of his hand in order to have avoided any damage, but Mr. Ems later testified that Jack never let. So, the Palms National Forest just above Father River after the big thaw on what fateful night in February 1978, the view was distinctly less beautiful. Alexa, stop.
6:50 p.m. alarm stopped on Anna's Echo Show.
Okay. Anybody else drive his car and that he had never been up that road before? Forest rangers searched the area with no luck, and 5 days into the investigation, a violent storm blew in, dropping 23 centimeters of snow over any potential tracks. The investigation was postponed, leaving the anxious parents to wait until the spring thawed. While police waited for better weather conditions, a witness came forward claiming to have seen something suspicious on that Friday night. 55 years old Joseph Schwantz had driven up the mountain road during the night of the disappearance, but had got his car stuck in the snow about 45 meters beyond the spot where the car would later be found. He had been digging the wheels out when a sharp pain forced him to his knees. Shans believed he was having a heart attack, and doctors later confirmed that this was the case. Having crawled back into his car, Shores turned the engine on and the heat up before passing out. During the night, he woke to the sound of whistling, and as he climbed out of the car, he saw a group of people, including a number of men and women with a baby, walking up the road, lit up in the glare of headlights from a car and a truck. When he called for help, the lights went out and he was plunged back into darkness. A few hours later, he was woken by the beam of a torch behind him. I want to say flashlight because a torch to me is like those things that you would put on like a stick, but that's just something I would say, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay. Okay, a few hours later, okay. Once again, he yelled for help, but the lights were extinguished and the whispering voices stopped. Sean, Shores was deeply unnerved by the experience, and as soon as he felt better, he began to walk the 13 kilometers to the mountain house lodge, passing Jack's empty car on the way. He soon forgot all about the incident when he got safely home, but was reminded of the particular sighting when police announced the bizarre disappearance of men on the news. The moment he saw the photographs of the missing Mercury, he phoned the police. It soon became apparent that Josh had likely been the last person to see the men alive, but his statement only seemed to add to the list of unanswerable questions. While the young men's families raised a $2,600 reward for any information and waited for the thaw to arrive, the police became desperate, following misleading eyewitnesses' accounts all over the country and eventually called on psychics, but unsurprisingly, it was all to no avail. Josh, who had suffered a mild heart attack near where Jack's car was later found, reported seeing a group of men with a woman with a baby by the road on the night of the men's disappearance. On June 4th, after the spring thawed, some motorcyclists riding up through the mountain road discovered a forest ranger trailer approximately 30 kilometers farther up from where Jack's car had been found. One of the windows had been smashed. As the motorcyclists opened the cabin door, they were hit by a pungent smell. Something had crawled in here and died. Sadly, it would turn out to be Ted. Ted's body was found alone in the forest ranger's trailer. His shoes were missing and his feet were frostbitten. How the mystery unfolded. The clues to unlocking the mystery list lies scattered across the map from YUBA City to Bucks Lake. Events. The Ranger's trailer. They had evidently entered the trailer by breaking a window, but did nothing to cover the hole once inside. Even though the wind and the snow was coming in, they must all have been in there at some point. So I leave when there was food and shelter. Clue outside food storage hunt. The hunt had enough dehydration food to feed the men through the winter. It also housed the propane gas could have kept them warm. Mercury. Jack's car had somehow made it all the way up the mountain on that rough road without a scratch, and yet he didn't know the road. The window had been left open, something his mother said he would never have done. Witness. The store was 3 blocks away from the university. The clerk recalled how excited the men were because their team had won, giving police an insight into the state of mind before they went up the mountain. The basketball match was held at the California State University and ended at 10 p.m., when the men should have headed straight back to YUBA City. Joseph. Joseph was the last known person to see the men alive. Although he claimed to have witnessed a woman with a baby, it may have been one of the men hunched up to keep the cold out. He also mentioned the truck headlights carbonating the red truck witness account. The men all lived with their parents in Yuba City, California, and became firm friends after enrolling in a day program for mentally handicapped adults and discovering their shared love for basketball. Clue: red pickup truck. 50 kilometers from the site of the abandoned car, a witness recalled seeing the men in a red pickup truck. They brought more snacks and made a phone call. It was 2 days after they had officially disappeared. Jackie, spinal column, and then his skull were found after the fall by his discarded father and search team. Jackie and William's bones. William's bones were scattered over 15 meters, and Jack's body was dragged to a nearby stream. His hand crawled around his watch. He had been partially eaten by animals. Well, that is terrifying. Thank you for that lovely, terrifying thing. The investigation. We will talk about that next.